Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the Skin Wellness Pro Show, which is the official podcast of the Nutritional Aesthetics Alliance. I am your host, Rachael Pontillo, and I'm the president and co-founder of the Nutritional Aesthetics Alliance. I'm also an esthetician, health coach, skincare formulator, and business owner. And I am really excited to be here with you all today. And I also want to introduce my co-host, Tara Swagger, who is our education specialist at the Nutritional Aesthetics Alliance. Tara, how are you?
Hi, good Rachel. So excited to be here. So my background is also a licensed esthetician. I'm nationally certified. I am a certified nutritional aesthetics practitioner and business owner as well. I operate my own practice, and we're both really excited to be here because we have so much to offer, I think, in the space for wellness professionals, estheticians, people that are seeing people every day, clients in their businesses, and working through some of the challenges that we see. Even though we have specialty in skin and we align with health coaching because we both do health coaching, is that we're dealing with so many issues today, not just with the clients, but also as professionals. And so it's really exciting to be able to bring our chats that we get to have, behind the scenes to people as we start to unravel so many of these things that we think are going to be really great discussion topics for professionals and clients alike.
Yeah, I agree. So many times when you and I are having our weekly calls for planning things for the Nutritional Aesthetics Alliance, I'm like, you know what? That would be such a great podcast episode because you and I both get into, I don't want to say rants, but we kind of go off on tangents sometimes of things that we see on social media or that we see people asking for support with in groups, and then, what kind of support they sometimes get in the groups that maybe is not so helpful. But, I also want to point out that even though you and I have both been in the industry for probably around the same time, because I know we're similar in age, but the way we practice is very different because you are practicing hands-on in the treatment room as an esthetician, and you also have a store, whereas my work has been virtual almost entirely the entire time that I've been licensed. I was in hands-on practice for a very short amount of time, and then I really focused solely on more of the skin wellness or skin health coaching side of things rather than the hands-on treatments. And then I, became more of an entrepreneur. But I think that the benefit for our audience of having both of us here is that we are showing what's possible in practice for practitioners in the world of nutritional aesthetics. And we're also able to share perspectives on things that we see, you in your in-person treatment room and in your store, and me in like on the virtual side of things where I'm working with clients with skin issues on the coaching side, but I also do consult with business owners to help them with practice management and practice growth issues and skincare formulation issues. So we're really covering a wide gamut of the entire industry just by putting our two heads together.
Yeah, well, I think every time we talk, we always touch upon all of these pieces to the pie with our industry between beauty and wellness that have these gaps in, whether it's gaps in education or gaps in places for people to get information. And I've been in a lot of different Facebook groups over the years, and I hear and see a lot of people mentoring other people that are not giving good information. And it's kind of difficult because, while social media is really great for so many things, I think that there's such a plethora of people who think that they have answers for people. And a lot of times I think they're perpetuating bad information. And, I think with our industries, they're becoming so multi-layered. If you're in this industry and you're an esthetician and you're working, maybe your practice is really just waxing or just lashes or something more strictly to the beauty end. It doesn't mean that you're not having clients come in with other things and other issues that you could liaison to them great information that can help them, and then if you're in the health and wellness field, singularly, and you're not in skin, I mean, you're going to get clients that come in that have skin issues, psoriasis, eczema. And while you're dealing with their health from the coaching perspective, which is great, there's also knowledge to be had in the middle there. So I think what's really fun between the two of us when we chat is always that there's so much that we see going on out there, especially between the experience that we have.
Yeah.
And I think there's so many gaps in the conversation for most. And a lot of what I'm seeing too with the social media and the Instagram is things are very not as realistically portrayed as I think most people in our industry are dealing with or working with. I
Yeah.
think it's wonderful when you're an esthetician and you're on a vacation and you're showing pics of that and you're showing your very upscale fancy spa or things like that. That's great. It's wonderful. We want to see our industry thriving and growing. And it's wonderful that social media is giving a lot of people space to do that. But I think there's lots and lots of people that are working in this industry, either one-on-one, virtually like you, or you're working hands-on, you're a single esthetician or you're a single health coach. And that's not what your business really looks like. And
Right.
so I think we're looking to get something brewing here with our conversations that gives people a space to come where they're kind of gonna sort of hear some real world information, and not feel like this isn't about the glitz and the glam. I mean, there's a lot of things that we deal with that are difficult to maneuver in our practices with ourselves, with our clients. And I think this is going to be a really great space for us to chat about what it looks like in practice,
Yeah.
and from the perspective of maybe what doesn't seem as fancy on Instagram, but the real in the trenches kind of work that we're doing.
Yeah. And look, we're not knocking people who have gorgeous spaces and who
Right.
have really nice cameras and who are great with their lighting and who have learned the skill of beautiful social media photography, because that is a skill
For
and it
sure.
takes time. But, you know, it's not reality for so many practitioners, whether you're on the aesthetic side or the skincare side. I mean, I'm in a basement home office that I've decorated to look professional. It's been on, through multiple iterations, but this is certainly not, some swanky high-rise corporate office building where I have, a conference room and all these things available to me. This is stuff that I've pieced together over the years because I started my businesses when my children were in, I think, kindergarten and early preschool. So I was just able to do little bits at a time, invest little bits at a time as money started coming in, and it grows. I mean, if you look at videos that I do nowadays versus videos that I did back in 2011, 2012, let's just say I don't even like to look at them because the lighting is awful and it's not even perfect now, but it's better now. And that's the really cool thing about being in business today with technology on our side, is that there's always a version 1.2 or 1.4 or 2.0. We can always improve. And I think letting the idea that it has to look a certain way hold you back from getting yourself out there is something that I really want to help our students and other professionals in our community to overcome. Because just like having a baby or buying a house, there's maybe the ideal time that you might plan, but usually there's never the right time or never the perfect time. And if you keep waiting for when it's going to look perfect or when you're going to be ready, fully ready, that day sometimes just never comes. And then you're
Right.
missing out on all of the amazing benefits that you could be having by being in practice. And your clients, people who need you, are also missing out because they don't know how to find you because you're not putting yourself out there for them. So I also hope that this show will help our skin wellness pros feel confident that they can get out there, and they should be talking about topics that are important to their clients so that their clients, current and future, can find them and see them as a resource.
Yeah, it's funny because I mean, I've been in practice for 25 years and it wasn't until right before COVID that I had to get on the computer in a way that I wasn't before. I always had a website and I had some social media. I was, I would trickle in stuff like that. I had a successful practice. So from that perspective, for most estheticians in this industry, and maybe probably from our age group that have been working all this time, social media wasn't the thing. That wasn't how you built your clientele. I mean, mine was built on my referrals and my clients and recommendations. And certainly at 25 years, it's been a while. So I've created a reputation. But right before COVID, things were shifting. The perspective of everybody's business has changed. I mean, there's no doubt about that. If you're an esthetician, if you're a health coach, if you're doing any kind of health and wellness work, even if you were hands-on in a different type of wellness industry, that all changed very dramatically come
Yeah.
COVID. We were obviously, people were doing classes virtually, and that launched my virtual class program with my business. And I went virtual with my consultations, which never really was something I needed to do before because of the way my business was. But when we were closed, I had to sort of pivot and really take a look at what that was going to be like. I was filming the same thing. I mean, I bought some lights, but I was filming actually, and we had a beautiful camper at the time. So I was out there to get quiet from my children. And I was doing some filming out there, but it was all very new and very nerve-wracking. Certainly, I am not a social media expert in any way, shape, or form, but we both know our industries really well, and we
Yeah.
know the ups and downs and the challenges it takes. And I think there's a lot more people in the field of working in these industries that might even be actually in our age group, sort of in that in-between space that as we look at these social media profiles where people are having more glamorous looking stuff, I think it seems intimidating to people because they feel like that's the kind of practitioner they need to be these days. But and again, like you said, great for them. Their stuff is beautiful. I'm happy for them that they're in beautiful vacations or having these great great beautiful spas where they're growing. But I don't think that's the majority. So I think what we
Yeah.
really want to share here is a perspective for clients and professionals alike to sort of learn about things that we do, how we work with clients in the form of nutritional and holistic aesthetics, how we manage our clientele through wellness, how we do that virtually, how we do that in person, and sort of the real talk, right? Like the
Yeah.
real talk of what this looks like. And I think what we're going to see is, the audience, I think we're hoping will really enjoy this kind of content is people just like you and me, with our practices, even as different as they are. I think we're looking to expand the conversation where people can get some professional advice that comes from two people in the industry that have been in here for a very long time,
Yeah.
as opposed to maybe your Facebook group where you get 25 people weigh in on something and you get a lot of different answers. And really, people have to be leery on where they're getting their advice from too, and it's
Yeah.
easy with the internet because it's everywhere. But you need to get advice from people that have solid backgrounds in this industry when you're
Right.
when you're making changes to your business, or you're talking about things like insurance or scope of practice. And um there's a lot of misinformation out there. So I think these conversations are just going to be so great for us to have in a way that hopefully really helps other people.
And I also wanted to, address that when it comes to misinformation spreading or people giving advice that's maybe not great in the groups, it's almost always never intentional.
Right, of
It's
course.
unfortunately the truth that there are gaps in education, both on the aesthetic side of things, because every state has different requirements, there's no way an esthetician is going to get as much education in 250 hours as as they would in a state where they have to have 1,000 hours, for example. There's just no way. And same thing, there's so many different health coaching programs, there's so many different nutrition programs, and even levels of practice that might have a higher scope of practice, such as dietitians and even some doctors. They're still being trained in very specific modalities where they're not going to have necessarily all of the information about a complementary modality simply because they haven't trained in it. So we're not here to say that one way is better than another way. We believe that, beautiful skin and health and confidence, that's the top of the mountain, and there are multiple paths to get there. We all want our clients to look and feel their best and live good qualities of life. But it absolutely is true that the way that education is delivered in these different philosophies and methods of practice is very different, and there's no way for it to be completely inclusive. Otherwise, everybody would be practicing in a fully holistic way, incorporating all sorts of integrative modalities. And usually that's not what happens. You get licensed in one thing, you start working, you're making money, and that's going well. And usually you don't go for something else until maybe the numbers start plateauing and you're not growing anymore, or maybe you get bored and you want to learn something new to add to it. So we want to make sure that, when the audience comes to us with questions, we're giving answers from a very integrative background that's, cited and valid and not just based on opinion. But because we do both practice in different ways, we also want to share our experience so that hopefully those of you who might be unclear about that particular topic or struggling with that topic can get not only, the textbook answer, but also the real world perspective on how people who are working in this field are actually handling these challenges with clients and
Yeah,
with
well, and
business.
I think everybody's practice is so different and unique. So, I always tell people when we do classes with students is like, my practice isn't going to look like yours. So you can ask me, I can give you suggestions based on what I do, right? Or what I've seen or what I've learned or what I've experienced. But it's never a matter of trying to mimic what I do, because you have your own package of skills. You have your own package of things that make you special as a practitioner. And that's the beauty of our industry too, throughout health, wellness, and skincare, is that people gravitate towards their practitioner for a lot of reasons. And most of those reasons really have to do with you as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is going to look different than me. In our field, we see so many different layers of different people that bring different things to the table. We're seeing a lot more of energy work that's come into beyond the health and wellness, but even into skincare, which is great. Stone medicine is really making a movement through.
Huge comeback.
And yeah. And of course, in skincare, there's tons of modalities and tons of things that, and you're going to hear somebody talk about, this machine, and this is the best machine ever. And then you're going to hear someone talk about how this is the best machine. And truly, from the perspective of skin wellness pros, is that we aren't here to tell you which one's the best. Like you cultivate your own, you cultivate your own relationship with how you deliver your treatment. I've changed my treatment and my menu plan many, 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 many times. And as a matter of fact, there's always shifts and changes to it yearly in some capacity. And that's based on my continuing education. And so as practitioners out there, we want to talk about the things that are challenging in your environment or in your practice, or with clients that you're seeing in real time that we have experience with, or we can talk with other people that have experience in those things. But it's really about how can you cultivate the best practice for you. And that's never going to be point one from one point to the other. It's an organic ebbing and flowing thing that continues to happen. So what's great about these conversations is as things change in our industry, we can continue to bring forth that information in terms of how it relates to how people are working in their fields in real time,
Yeah.
in your practice. You're a single esthetician, you're a single health coach, you're only virtual, you're only hands-on, you want to do a mix, you don't want to do a mix, you love machines, you don't love machines, you like stones, you don't, there's so many things that I feel like are great conversations to be had here with Skin Wellness Pros.
Yes. So that is a nutshell of why we are here, why we decided to launch the Skin Wellness Pro Show and even have a podcast under the Nutritional Aesthetics Alliance's umbrella. So we kind of switched from talking about, nutritional aesthetics practitioners to simplifying it to skin wellness professionals, skin wellness pros. Uh, the background of why that happened, at least on our side of things, is because Facebook decided it didn't like the word nutritional in our URL. So it started blocking any blog posts that we would try posting. So instead of trying to argue with Facebook for them to allow us to post our blog posts again, which was a futile effort since they don't respond, we just changed the URL to skinwellnesspro.com for our alliance. And it just made me start to think of, we really are skin wellness pros, because the Nutritional Aesthetics Alliance, our mission overall is to advance an integrative approach to healthy skin. And that means from the inside out, it means from the outside in, it's the whole big picture. And we chose the word integrative instead of holistic because the word integrative we just felt was a little bit more inclusive of people who practice in different ways. Whereas if we went with the word holistic, we might not have reached people who are working in the medical aesthetics world and want to incorporate more natural or holistic things into the more clinical side of things, because there is room for all of it and they can work together. So for me, a skin wellness pro is a professional, and you don't have to be an esthetician. You can be a health coach or a body worker or someone else who supports clients with skin issues or who helps clients maintain their outer glow by helping them with mindset and lifestyle and nutrition and all of that. It's basically any professional who is helping their clients have amazing skin and overall well-being for life in a sustainable way and in a way that does no harm and seeks to support the skin and support the body that so that it can do what it was designed to do. That's my definition of it. But Tara, I would love if you could share what your definition or how you've come to understand the term skin wellness or skin wellness pro.
Yeah, well, I think you really covered a lot of it there too. I mean, just like as a professional where you have your own very particular bag of tricks and way about you that's special and is going to be unique from every other practitioner, so is your client, right? So, we have a world filled with a lot of different things today. There's a lot of different clinical approaches to skin. There's a lot of medical approaches to skin. And when you see clients, whether it's for health, nutrition, wellness, body work, whatever, they're all doing an intake. And these intakes are all, coming with a lot more information today than they used to. More people are taking different medications. There's nuances with different laser treatments that they might be getting with their skin, or chemical peels or injections. And I mean, when I started in the industry, that was rare, to see somebody with injections. And I worked with a dermatologist, and that was sort of the beginning of Botox being sort of easier and more affordable for the average person. So
Right. And not just for the celebrities or for the very rich.
So I remember those days. I remember that clientele, but that was sort of new, right? And so now more and more people are seeing that. And even if you're a wellness professional or a body worker, like you said, you might have somebody who came in that has had certain work done. And some of that might even be tummy tucks and different types of surgeries that has scar tissue or things that might change how you're working with the body, might change how you're working with the client because of their mindset as well. And so there's the psychology of your client. And so all of this approach is about becoming a more informed professional on the nuances of our businesses. They're so layered these days. They're layered. And quite honestly, I think you can put a lot of these pieces together and never come up with the same outfit twice, right? Because
Definitely.
there's so many different kinds of people out there. And I think these conversations are really important because what we really want to hit upon is all of those nuances. You're going to see so many different people, and it's good to have conversations about what that looks like for your client, because your client, very particularly, because they're very special the way that they come to you. You want to be able to serve them in the way that suits them, right? I mean, suit yourself too, because that's important. We have to kind of cultivate what kind of practitioner we want to be and that type of thing, but also being able to meet your client where they're at and help them attain small successes is just as important as the client that wants to dive deep and wants to do all the things.
All the things at once right now.
Right. And so I think it's just important that we have these types of conversations as we start to target different topics together, where people can come and take a listen to how they're being handled in the industry, what that looks like in real time. Some people who are maybe new to the industry and don't have a lot of experience aren't going to have a lot of stories to tell or learn from. And so this is a great place for new estheticians as well to sort of hear conversations about what those topics might look like in the treatment room with your client. And hopefully you can pick up some things that help you feel more confident when you meet a client and you're like, oh, I remember them talking about this. And so I think I can apply some of this advice that they were kind of giving in the talk, or, you might hear something that's new to you about maybe a side effect of a medication that might be causing an issue with skin or with someone's health. And sometimes when those things are coming to light, as we don't see them for a while, but all of a sudden we see this influx of, recently the influx of hair loss with COVID has been a really big topic. And I think one that's been lost in translation, because online I see a lot of people talking about it. And there's a plethora of reasons for those things, except that very specifically this COVID over the last couple of years has caused an issue with that. And so I think hearing topics like that get discussed as they're coming up, and as things are changing, it's really going to be helpful for estheticians and wellness workers alike to hear these conversations and maybe grab some insight into what they're seeing into their practice. And so it's really exciting to start working together in this capacity.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So that's pretty much what you can expect from the Skin Wellness Pro Show. We're just going to have real conversations. We'll talk about some issues that are currently affecting practitioners as well as clients. You might see some guests joining us from time to time. We love talking with our advisory board members as well as our certified nutritional aesthetics practitioner training program graduates and our members. So you might see some of them drop by from time to time. And we also want to invite you into the conversation. We are brand new with this show, and we want to make sure that what we cover serves you as practitioners, or if you're not a practitioner, but you're someone who's looking for advice that is valid and that is credible about skin or skin wellness issues. We would love to hear from you too. So if you have any questions that you would like us to answer or topics of conversation that you would love to see featured in an episode of the Skin Wellness Pro Show, we would love it for you to let us know by either commenting under the video on YouTube or our social media platforms, or you can DM us. And you can also contact us through our website, which is skinwellnesspro.com. And while you're there, make sure you check out our blog. There are several hundred blog posts, different articles on skin wellness topics. And if you are a practitioner looking for a new modality of practice or some continuing education credits, we have classes for you to check out on our website as well. So I think that's it for our very first introductory episode, Tara. What do you think?
Excellent.
Cover it?
Excellent. Yes, I think we did.
All right. Well, we are such a new show. We don't have a fancy sign off for you yet, but we're working on it. So between now and when we see you again, we hope you have a beautiful day and gorgeous skin, something like that.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
Yay.
Stay well.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll be back again soon with another episode.